Hi, Roger. How are you? Roger, can you hear me? Hey, Joan, can you hear me?
Yeah, I got kicked out for some unknown reason, but I'm back.
All right. I don't think I can't hear Roger's response. Okay, great. All right. Well, Joan, let's start with you. What have you got this evening? Okay. All right. So yeah, it's going into your downloads folder. So there's a lot of different ways to get to this downloads area. From your browser, Safari, if you're using Safari, in the top right hand corner, after you've downloaded something, you'll see a little arrow with a circle. If you click on that arrow in the circle, it'll give you a list of all the things that you've downloaded recently. So that's one way to get to the downloads folder. You could select it and then you click on one. Go ahead. Okay, well, these are the answers. So you just sure that yeah that'll put it down, and you can look at your Safari. Well, I tell you what, why don't we jump over and take a look at your screen, and I can walk you through it. All right, all right. So you should see a request to become the presenter and share your screen. So please do that. Okay, so yeah, so we're looking at a browser here, and it looks like you haven't downloaded anything recently, or the download icon's not there for whatever reason. That's okay. So let's go another way. Yeah, it's constant. So let's go to the bottom left-hand corner of your computer. You'll see a little happy face. That's a Finder icon. So let's click on that happy Picasso face to open up a Finder window. Now, if you look across the left-hand side, you see the house that says Joan on it. See that house? Click on that house. Now, in there, you'll see all the different folders that are relevant to your house, including the Downloads folder. So click on that Downloads folder once. And now you see all these different times that you've downloaded basically the same version of downloads. So you can go in your downloads folder and throw these away by dragging them into the trash, but they're all probably the exact same version of Flash. So if you want to install, and don't install it right now, but if you wanted to install that, you would double click it and it would open up the installer package and it would go through its little song and dance. Yeah. I would throw them all away. These are the installers. These are the packages that. No, you can throw all that away. You could throw everything in the downloads folder away that you want to. Nothing lives in your downloads folder that's important after you've installed it. It's sort of like when you get a package from FedEx and you open up the box. Let's say it's a pair of shoes you've ordered. Well, they're not going to send it in the shoebox. They're going to put the shoes in a shoebox, and they're going to put the shoebox in a package, in a box, and they're going to send it to you. So you get it from FedEx, you open up that box, then you take out the box inside it, you open up that box, and you get your shoes. So you got the product, now you have 2 extra boxes, and you throw those boxes away because they have nothing to do with what you really needed. And these DMG files are just like that first box that the product came in. You don't need them. Yeah, you hit Command Delete, and that will move it to the trash. The key command to move something to the trash is Command Delete. You can throw all that away. Yeah, none of that is really important. That's correct. Yeah, because you got all of these things from the internet. And yeah, an executable file you can't run anyway. So that's only a Windows file. The Mac cannot run that. So you could delete that. Well, you could select all, go Command A, and that would select everything in the downloads folder, then Command Delete, and that would drag it all to the trash. Well, then don't delete, then just leave them. If you don't. If you hold the Shift key, yes, hold the Shift key down and it will select that range. So hold the Shift key down and then click on the, hold the Shift. Now, Command Delete. All right. The rest of these items in here are items that you got from the internet. You did not create these items, you got them from the internet. So if there were important items, you could move them into your documents folder, like the LP week, things like that. You could drag those in. But anything that has the suffix .dmg on the end, you can throw those away because you've already dealt with them. They're not running. They're not anything that runs. They're the boxes that your shoes came in. All right? All right. Go ahead. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah, I'll talk about that real quickly. I'm not a big fan of paying for extra iCloud storage, and that's what you're considering. So let me jump back over to my screen and answer that by hopefully turning on the ability for you guys to see my screen and to see my phone. No, I'm pretty bad off, actually. Yeah, I've lost about 10 pounds since last week in not being able to keep any fluids down. It's been pretty bad. But I go to the doctor again on Wednesday, so I'm gonna get this done this evening and hopefully get back to some other stuff. So here we are. That's okay. So here we are in on the iPhone. So hopefully you can see my iPhone on the screen. Okay. So Joan's question is about storage, that Apple is sending out a notification that's saying, hey, everyone, we're going to pull your storage. If you had a MobileMe account back in the old days and we've allowed you to have 25 gigs of storage space in the cloud, we're going to take that 25 gigs away from you unless you pay us money. And where we find those settings on your phone is if you go to the Settings button and then you go to iCloud and you scroll to the bottom, you see Storage and Backup. And if we click on that Storage and Backup, then we see what we've got. So here, I'm an old MobileMe subscriber. So I have 25 gigs of storage, and I got the email saying, we're going to take that 25 gigs away from you because we're going to drop it down to 5 gigs, and if you'd like to keep that 25 gigs of storage space, you have to pay us more money. So I don't like doing that, and here's the reason I don't like doing that. This 25 gigs of space is not to store your pictures. It's not to store your email or your contacts or your calendars or your apps. It's all that 25 gigs or that 5 gigs of space is to basically take a picture of what your phone looks like, so that if you were to drop this in a lake and then you were to go and buy another phone, you would be able to, while in the store, restore your phone from iCloud, and all that stuff would rain back down. But really, all you're really restoring are the order of your applications. For instance, on my front page, I have a weather grouping, and I have a money grouping of apps that are related to we'll look at the weather and my money apps and stuff. And those groupings are important to me, but they're not worth paying Apple $25. I'm just going to come home and plug it up with a wire maybe once a month. And I'm going to sync my phone to my computer. I'm not going to pay Apple for any iCloud storage at all. So I'm just going to sync it every once in a while to the computer. I'm not going to lose any apps, because those apps, I'm going to have them whether I back the phone up or not. I'm not going to lose any pictures because the pictures get moved through PhotoStream. I'm not going to lose through any contacts or calendars because that stuff is automatically synced as it is. So it's hard for me to hear somebody make a case for paying that extra money. And Apple, honestly, is kind of just preying on your scared senses. Oh my gosh, I better pay this. And I've talked to clients every day that are paying this. And exactly. Yes, very, very good. So go to Settings, and you see that I have iCloud backup off because I don't care to back my phone up to iCloud. Because even if I smashed it with a hammer right now, what am I going to lose? I could re-download my apps, My contacts and calendars are there regardless of whether I turn that on or not. I can, my music doesn't only live on my phone. My music lives on a computer, whether I have iTunes Match turned on or not. So, and you can sync wirelessly in iTunes. You have to go into iTunes first and turn that on. But yeah, you could. I just have this connected because it makes it a little bit easier for me to show the screen with it during these town hall meetings. But generally, I just sync it Wi-Fi, sync it over wireless. And to do that, you probably already know this. We open up iTunes. Roger, I appreciate your patience. We're going to get to you in just a second. So you open up iTunes. When your phone shows up in the left-hand column, and again, this is a computer that I don't use except for town hall. You go over to your iPhone in the left-hand side, and at the bottom of the preferences, I'm kind of ahead of myself here, we'd look over and you'd see where it says sync this phone over Wi-Fi. If I select that button, then I will not have to connect this at all through a wire for it to sync to my iTunes. So, done. All right? All right, I'm going to jump over to Roger. Roger, what have you got this evening? That's right. Yeah. That's right. It asks you to give what again? I didn't hear that. You're breaking up. It asks your password to your notes. You don't. There is no notes for password. So what password is it asking you for? Okay. All right. Well, let me try to answer your notes question because I think this is an easy answer. Can you hear me okay, or am I breaking up on your end, Roger? Okay. Okay. That you have what? Yeah. It sounds like you do. But as long as you can hear me, the first issue with these notes, and I tell people this all the time, all notes are yellow email. That's all they are, is yellow email. So when you look at your notes, I'm going to go to my phone, so get an eye on the screen there. If I'm looking at my notes, let's see, where's my notes application? In my notes, I keep all my notes here, and here's my stuff, and here's all that stuff I'm going through right now. I've been dealing with some health issues, so I've got a little health screen up. If I go backwards, here's all my other notes. But then if you look up at the top, I see accounts. And those accounts, I have two accounts which are email accounts. A Gmail account and an iCloud account. Now keep that in mind for a moment. Now I'm going to jump over to settings. And I'm going to show you in settings, I'm going to go back into mail, contacts, and calendars. If I go to mail, contacts, and calendars, you see that each one of these accounts that I have my iCloud account, I have notes turned on because notes are email. In my Gmail account, I have notes turned on because notes are email. Now, if you are not saving a note to an associated email address, then it's not moving over inside your email program or inside your notes program on your Mac. Are you still with me, Roger? Yeah. Yeah, take it. Yeah. Okay, so what operating system are you in, Roger? And if you go to the Black Apple and you select about this Mac, it will tell you what version of the OS you're on. I'm assuming you're on 10.7 or 10.8. Okay, so let's open up I'm going to open up my Notes app over here, and I could store notes locally, only on my computer. And of course, if I store notes locally, then those notes are not going to sync over to my phone. So I don't want to do that. I want all my notes to sync everywhere, unless I have a privacy issue that I'm dealing with, like within my family world or something. But I don't have that. So under Notes and Preferences, I'm going to look at Accounts under Notes. If I select that, it will tell me the accounts that I have associated here. Now, if I'm keeping, how should I say this? If I'm keeping Gmail and iCloud ability to sync notes, then in my Notes Accounts area, which just popped up, I should have Gmail and iCloud Notes turned on in my system preferences on my computer as well. I'm guessing that I probably don't. And yeah, I'm right. If I look at my Gmail account right here, for me, notes are off over here. So if I was on my device on the phone, and I know I'm probably beating a dead horse on this and just kind of reiterating what I've already said, but I'll just say it again. So if I save a note into my Gmail account on my phone, that email, that note is not going to show up in my notes area of my computer because I don't have notes turned on in Gmail. And that's actually a good thing. You really, in my opinion, you want to choose one email account to sync your notes as. And in this case, iCloud. So I say, yeah, turn on the notes, and notes is turned on. So I really should go back to my phone, go to the Gmail world, and say, you know what, I don't want notes turned on there. So now I only have one account turned on. Now, if you're having a problem with it continues to ask for that password to that account, there's a couple of things to try. First, the easy thing to do would be to go in here to your system preferences. If you're following me on your computer, go into System Preferences. You'll go to Mail Contacts and Calendars, and then you find the account that you want these notes associated to. Hopefully it's a Gmail account or an iCloud account. You really want it to be an IMAP-based account. It might have to be an IMAP-based account, actually. But select that, go to Details of the account, and re-enter the password. Now, if that doesn't solve it, if re-entering the password here in this area doesn't solve it, then there are two more things. Let me close the door, and there's two more things I'm going to get to. I always wonder how long my dog's going to last before he has an issue. So there's two more places, Roger. If something's happened with the password and it's not retaining that password. So the next thing to do would be to go into your mail account, and I'm going to open up my mail here and go to the bottom. And I want to re-enter my passwords in mail because notes are email. So in my mail account, I'm going to go to my preferences, in mail, and I hope I'm not going too fast. And in my email preferences, again, I'm going to select the account that notes are associated to, and I'm going to re-enter that password. And I'm actually going to re-enter that password in two places. I'm going to enter it in relation to the incoming mail server, and I'm going to re-enter it in relation to the outgoing mail server. So I'm going to go through this real quick. So if you follow me so far, here I am in my email program, and I know I'm in mail because the top left-hand corner says mail. And I go up under the word mail, and I go to preferences. Now, I go to accounts. I'm going to find the email address that set of notes is associated to, and hopefully you only have one email address that notes are associated to. And I'm going to delete the password and re-enter the password. And then and that's the incoming. Now in the outgoing mail server, I'm going to select it. I'm going to choose the correct outgoing mail server. In this case, I'm in a Gmail account, so I'm going to choose my Gmail outgoing server. And I'm going to edit the server list. If I edit the server list, then I can find the Gmail outgoing server, and under Advanced, I'm going to make sure that I put in the right one. I had to do some work for a client here, so I'm going to delete that account. I'm going to delete that account too. So actually, I don't even have my Gmail account set up on this computer. But I would re-enter it. It doesn't matter. Down here, I'm going to re-enter it, the the correct way there. All right? You kind of follow me so far, and I'm recording all this, so I'll post it. There's one more thing that you can do. Do you want to interject, or would you like me to go to yet another way? Yeah. And you did that from within your system preferences on the computer? Yeah, okay. All right, so yeah. Absolutely, that is exactly right. Because all notes are yellow email, and if you don't choose, there are people in the world. Let's say somebody that works for the government, and they just want to make some notes for themselves, and maybe they're in the White House administration, and they don't want their notes to sync all over the place. They only want them to live on that device, and that is it. Well, there are people like that, so Apple gives you the ability to not associate any notes to an email, but if you don't associate a note to an email, it's not going to sync. It's going to sit on that device, and that's all it's going to do, is just sit on that device. But there are only very few people in the world that have that need. Everybody else, you want your notes to sync. I want to be able to sit down, and I don't even use this computer that I'm on right now. The only time I use this is on Monday nights, and here are all my notes. And as far as my health issue, here's all my health issues with stuff. And I've got those notes right there versus over on this computer or another computer or this computer or anywhere. They're all over the place. So no matter where I go to, my notes are synced because they're an email, and I have that email account set up here and here and here and here. If you remember, and this might help it understand a little bit more, if you remember back in the old days, and when I say old days, I mean 10.6, 10.5, notes were actually in your email address, in your email program. It's only 10.7 and 10.8 that they actually pulled them out as an actual application. But when they pulled them out as an application, that made it even more confusing to us because we think that notes are like your contacts, or well, maybe not contacts, like your bookmarks, or you don't really go and look at them, they just are everywhere. But no, they're emails. This is just a yellow email that I wrote to myself. That's how it works. All right, I'm going to jump over to Daryl, and I'll get back around in a moment. Daryl, how are you this evening? What have you got? Then you're going to have two buckets of notes. You will have a bucket of note associated to that Gmail address and a bucket of notes associated to the other one. And they'll both show up. Like here in my notes, remember, I only have one account with notes on. But if I had 5 Gmail accounts and I have notes turned on in each one of them, then I have 5 little buckets within this. I think you can. Yeah, I think you can take the note and drag it and drop it into another account. I believe that you can. I wouldn't go to the email. Right, yes. That's correct. You would drag one note into another account. I'm going to see if I can turn it on real quick while you're looking at it. Let me see if I can make this happen here. I have just turned on multiple accounts, and see when I did that on my screen, now I have a left-hand column. Before, I didn't have a left-hand column because I only had one email address for notes. But now I have 2 email addresses. So if I want to move this blood pressure account that I'm kind of keeping up with, I'm going to drag that from iCloud and I'm going to drop it into my Google account. You see what I'm doing here on my screen? You see that? So that is one way I could copy my notes that are associated to my iCloud account to the notes that are associated to my Google account. Are you in notes? You're talking about notes? Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Let's send it over. You will see a request to share your screen and become the presenter. And let's take a look. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, so look at all these accounts that you have. And then Roger, look at his email over, I mean his left-hand column, and one of those groupings is on my Mac. And those words on my Mac are kind of the bane of my existence because that means that those notes that are under that category on my Mac are only on Daryl's computer, on his Mac. They are not on his phone, they're not on an iPad, they're not on a MacBook Air, they're only on that computer that he's looking at right now. So Daryl, it's important for you to know which account you're looking at. So if you were to click on all notes, Daryl, in the left-hand column, you might see 25 notes. But if you click on the ASB notes that are under your insurance, you might only see 3 notes. Or there's less. There's less notes there. So now go on to the on my Mac down below and click on notes or recovered items, whatever. All right. So those notes only live on this computer that you're looking at right now and nowhere else. When you added them, you may not have had other accounts set up yet. So it just said, well, we don't have an email account set up, so we'll just drop it into here. Now, if you want to make those a synced note, you would drag, say, for instance, my name. You may have made some notes for a time that I was going to come over and work with you. So you take one of those notes and drag it, actually my name. Nope, go back down to notes where you were. Okay, you see, well, I'm not sure. Yeah, try that. Okay, so you see there's a note over there that's got my name on it to the right, the second column. Yeah. Now, if you wanted to make that note an iCloud note, or you want to make that note a note associated to your insurance email, you would physically drag that note where you're clicked now, and you would drop it. Yeah, so drag it and move it to the left. And you're not going to move anything because you're not going to let it go. Just drag it and move it over to the left, and you can hover over those words, and each one of those words will highlight in an orange color. There you go. Right. And if you drop it, it will move from the local Mac into the insurance email server because it's an email. Right. You just essentially took it off your Mac and put it into that email account. If those are the 2 groups that you want, yeah. And you run a business with this email, you might have a need to have 2 separate groups of notes. I personally don't because it just becomes more confusing. If you don't want to use it, your insurance group, your insurance email is fine. You just need one email account really to organize your notes. That's it. And like I said before, the only time that you really wouldn't, that you might need to use multiple email accounts for multiple groups of notes is if you had a privacy issue. So let's say that's right. So let's say I'm in business with you and we both share that insurance group email, but you have some notes that you want to keep on me that you don't want me to see. Then you might add that note to an iCloud email because I don't have access to that iCloud account, but I do have access to your insurance email. Does that make sense? But no, on your phone. Well, let me show you. If I'm going to jump back over to my screen and I'm going to show you probably exactly how I got there. Tell me when you can see my iPhone screen. Give me a holler when you can see that. Okay, so here's probably what happened. In the year 2012, or 2011, or 2010, you've had an iPhone probably since '07. At some point in time, within your settings, in Mail Contacts and Calendars, I think it's not Mail Contacts, it's under Notes. The default note, well, maybe it is Mail Contacts and Calendars. Let me look around here. The default notes, it might be in here somewhere. Let's see, default calendars. There's a default note account. Where is it? Which account is the one? Maybe it's on your computer. Let's see which is the default account. there's an area on your computer. Yeah. My phone's going crazy here. Let me try again. There's a setting for it sets the default notes. So like if you look here in your default account, that's my sales consulting. Over down here, my default calendar is my private calendar. There's an area on your phone, if I can find it, for default notes. I thought it might be in the notes area, but it doesn't. That's just the font. Let's see if it's under general somewhere. No, let me see in notes settings what the default count for notes is. It might be the one that's at the top. Let's see, notes. Oh, there it is right there, default account. So take a look at your settings on the computer, and under the word notes, you have a default account, and you can choose which account you want it to be. If you didn't have any of those set up prior to like 10.7, then the default account was the iMac on my Mac. That was the default account. Say that part again. The only one that is what? Yeah, so that means that when you just throw a note in and you're not thinking about it, it goes into the insurance group. That's correct. All right. Okay, let's jump back over to Joan. I'm going to do one more round, then I'm going to get out of here. Joan, did you have a follow-up or anything else we needed to hit? Okay, good question. So let me see. Put downloads icon back in dock. All right, very easy. You open up a Finder window, and you can go down to the Picasso happy face. Open up a Finder window, and once you've done that, you navigate down to your downloads folder. So in your case, you went to your house. Once you went to your house, you found that downloads folder in the house. Now I'm going to click and drag that downloads folder into my dock, but I have to make sure that I put it on the right side of the little line that's in the dock. You have a line in the dock, and your folders will only go on the right side of that. Once you drag it back down there, there it is again. Okay, you want me to take a look and follow as you do? To the right-hand side. All right, so I just sent a request to share the screen. I sent a request to share your screen. Did you see that request? Okay, there it is. Well, you have a lot of pictures in that downloads folder that you've gotten from people sending you or whatever. But your question was that you wanted to put that downloads folder back into the dock. And you have done that. You've a few items. Yeah. The current way that you have it set, if you do a right click on that, you will see an ability to change the view of that in multiple different ways. So do a right click. There you go. Now look at, see it, fan is the word. You have automatic, so go up to fan if that's what you like. There you go. Select fan. Now click on it again. Okay, that's not all the documents. That's just some recent documents that are in there. But that, well, I don't know how you got those pictures. You might have clicked on an email to pull them in multiple times. But to me, every once you might be able to delete them from the fan. But honestly, the fan is Fisher Price to me. I don't even use the fan. That's some engineer had some extra time on his hands. I would go to the downloads folder in the Finder. I don't even use that folder view for me personally. So there you have a Finder window open right in front of you, and there's your downloads folder at the very top. Select that downloads folder, And honestly, like I said, and I know you're getting hung up on this, but just delete everything. Get rid of it. Just select it and delete everything. It's gone. Because you got those from someone else. Everything in that folder you got from somebody else. And you could either A, get it again, excuse me. Right, somebody from the internet gave it to you because you downloaded it. So you don't store things in your your downloads folder. Your downloads folder is just a little reservoir. And as a matter of fact, this is what I do. Let me show you what I do to help me not fall into the situation that you're in right now. I'm going to jump over back to my screen, and I'm going to show you exactly what I do. And this makes my life so much easier. Let me get it out of the way here to show you. In my browser of choice, which is Safari, this is where we download things, right? Like you downloaded Adobe's Flash from Safari. So you go into Safari's preferences, and in Safari's preferences, let's see if we can find under General. Here it is. Save downloaded files to the desktop. Now what that means is I've changed it. It was the downloads folder. So what it was doing and what it does on your machine and most everybody else's machine is it downloads it and then it hides it away in some downloads folder that you can't find. You got to open it. But if you change that to the desktop and you download Adobe's Flash, then it lands on your desktop and you have to deal with it. There it is, sitting on your desktop. And you know that I like to keep a clean desktop. So if we look here, I downloaded the other day Java something another, right? And there it's sitting there. So I need to open it, install it, and now I'm done with it. I'm going to throw it away, put it in the trash. So I don't... Go ahead. That's right, in Safari settings. Yeah, and it's save downloaded files to, and you... Okay, I'll jump back over. Okay, so we'll see a request to share your screen. Okay, you're going to go to Safari, actually. You're in your system preferences right now. So click on the Safari icon in the dock. Well, you're in system preferences. Right, there you go. So now you're in Safari. So now under the word Safari in the top left-hand corner, select Safari and choose Preferences. Right. Now, go to General, which is the top left-hand corner, and you'll see Save Downloaded Files to, and you will change that to Desktop. Or that's my suggestion. So then, you don't have to go looking for that. Just choose Other, and Desktop will be one of the options. So now on the left-hand side, you'll see your house. Select your house, Joan Wachenhauer house. There you go, select that. And now you will see desktop, select that, and now hit the word select. Now when you download a file, it lands on your desktop. So that means you have to clean it up. And they didn't disappear, they went into the downloads folder, you just didn't have that information to go look in the downloads folder. But now, you don't have to. It's going to land on your desktop. And you'll clean it up, you'll install it, clean it up, and you're good to go. I'm going to jump... Yeah, I'd pull that out of the dock if you want. Some people like that. I personally don't care. It doesn't matter to me. I'm going to move over to Roger. Roger, what else you got? Yeah. 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 Okay, so remote disk means that if you buy a MacBook Air or one of the new iMacs that don't have a CD drive, you could click on that remote disk, and what happens is your Mac, your CD-less Mac, your DV drive-less Mac, makes a call out to everybody in the house or on your network, and it says, hey, does anybody have a CD drive around here that I can borrow? And then another Mac will answer back, yes, I have one. So it's a way for you to share another computer's CD drive, because Apple's making these machines without CDs these days. But if you want to turn that off, you want to get that turned off, and you don't want to see it on the left-hand side, then I believe under the word Finder, in the Finder, under Preferences, I believe that you have the ability within the sidebar preferences to turn that remote disk on and off. You see where I am? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I suggest leave it. Yeah, so in other words, you have a new Mac that doesn't have a disk drive in it, right? Yeah. Yeah. All right. Did you have another follow-up? That was a real short one. Got anything else? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Within, are you talking about when you open up a Finder window? Like on my screen right now, I'm opening up a Finder window. Are you talking about the actual left-hand side icons? Well, I mean, you could click it and drag it and make it larger. Is that what you're talking about? Within a Finder window. Yeah, within a Finder window. Yes. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I believe so. Let me dig around and see where I can find it. But yeah, there's a way. I think it's, let me see if it's under General in System Preferences. It's been a while since let's see. Here we go. It's right here it is. So if you go to your System Preferences and you go to General, under the word General, the third option is Sidebar Icon Size. And right now I've got it set to medium, but if I kick it to large, now see that my icons just jumped up and the words got bigger? That's what's going to happen. So there you go. That's as good as you can get it. That's under General. It's the first item by default in System Preferences under General. All right, I'm going to finish out here with Daryl. Daryl, did you have any follow-up? And then I'm going to get out of here this evening. Yeah, you probably, under the On My Mac account, is that what you mean? How did they get onto the On My Mac? You may have created them without having email accounts set up as notes accounts. Very, very possible. Yeah, they're probably older notes, I'm guessing. Yeah. Yeah, there's anyway, I don't know how they got there, but that's what happened is the default account was your empty computer and not an actual email account. Okay, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. Thanks for attending, and I'll post this up hopefully by tomorrow. All right? Yeah, I'm working on it. All right, we'll see you guys. Bye. Good night.